right. So I'm sure that many of you are wondering why there is a truck manufacturer at a car show. And I'm so glad you asked. So we are here today because we are also celebrating our 125th anniversary. So it is the 125th anniversary of the Mack brothers starting the Mack Trucks business in Brooklyn, New York. So we are actually born, bred, and raised in Brooklyn. We're in Allentown, Pennsylvania as well. They moved there. But this is really part of our history, and it's a really strong history of innovation, and we're here to celebrate that today. So in 1904, the Mack brothers actually were part of the auto show in Madison Square Gardens, and they were here showing their first vehicle, which was a bus. And so today we've got our 1925 Mack AB here, but it's just really part of the story for Mack that is legacy and heritage of innovation. We've been part of the transportation industry for 125 years, and that's kind of the alignment with the auto show. And again, like I said, the Mack brothers were here so many years ago, which is really exciting for us. And we're here again to just bring that legacy to life and to continue to showcase how that legacy is the firm foundation for us and the future that we're building. Last week, actually in Brooklyn, we launched a new truck, the Pioneer, and we're going to talk to you a little bit more about that today. But it's just the continuation of what the Mack brothers started so many years ago, again here in Brooklyn in 1900. So today with me is actually Blake. He's going to tell us a little bit more about the Pioneer, and we'll transition into the future of Mack trucks.
Thank you, Jess. I'm going to try our clicker to see if it's working. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. As Jess said, my name is Blake Ruth. I'm the product manager for Highway. So basically, Highway is anything that has a trailer behind it. And as Jess stated, I'm not here to talk about this truck, even though this one's really cool. We're here to talk about the Mack Pioneer, which launched literally last week. And what I want to tell you a bit about today is some of the really cool features that come with this truck and why we really feel that this is the new standard of trucking. So starting this out, we went to design the truck is we tried to think about, what do highway customers want, right? And it's a lot of things, but to really simplify it in a very easy way, they want comfort, they want their drivers to be comfortable, they want them safe, not only the drivers, but everyone around the truck. They want efficiency, which ultimately helps, deliver things more efficiently and also help their bottom line. And they want their trucks on the road, which leads to uptime. So I'm going to give you a very brief overview here today, and I'm going to try to organize it in these 4 pillars. So starting with, the offer that we have. So the main takeaway from this slide is we really have a full offer on this truck. So we have a day cab that's dedicated more to regional haul. We have a 44-inch sleeper, a 64-inch sleeper, and then a 70-inch sleeper, mid-roof and high roof. And really, like I said, we have a full offer that can support any need on highway. And, to the point that Jess made, this is an all-new truck from the ground up. This is not a refresh, this is an all-new truck. And when we set out to really design this truck and kick this truck off, instead of saying, let's build a truck and make it work for the driver, we said, what does the driver want, and let's build it out. So what that did is we took basically what the driver needed and we built it out to an all-new cab. That cab is, like I said, all new body in white, all new metal, and it's a wedge-shaped cab. So what's really cool about the wedge shape is it starts narrower in the front, it wedges out, and what that does is it gives really good fuel efficiency with a narrow shape in the front, but it also gives a wider cab for the driver that gives them more shoulder room and gives them an armrest, and ultimately that resulted in 9 inches wider versus our previous model, which drivers spend a lot of time in the truck. That's really helpful for them. Then we talk about comfort. So I like to think of comfort in 2 ways, right? We have where the driver meets the truck, the seats, and we have where the truck meets the road, the suspension. And starting with where the driver meets the truck, the seats, we're really proud to offer an all-new seat. It's standard wide base and it has optional cooling, heating, and massage. And then we talk about where the driver meets the truck. It's all new suspension both on the chassis as well as on the cab. And ultimately, as the slide states, this is really delivering unmatched ride comfort for the driver, which is really necessary when you're spending anywhere from 8 to 11 hours in the truck a day. And now we move back to the sleeper, and the main takeaway that we want people to feel is we have a sleeper that is comfortable for drivers. They will want to spend time in this truck. And as you can see it here, this has what we call our flex suite. So if you look behind me, we have basically a dinette and kind of Murphy bed that folds into the wall. And what that does is it gives flexibility to the driver to really have additional space, but also comfort as well. And there's plenty of options here. You have an integrated fridge, you have wireless charging, and it's really a good option for the driver and a nice place for them to spend nights. So now we talk about safety. So one really cool thing that's new with the Mack Pioneer is what we call Mack Protect. What Mack Protect is it's an all-new proprietary collision mitigation system. And what's really great about this is it takes some of the features we already had with our previous system, but we add some, right? And with all of those, a large amount of features, we also bundled it in a very, very simple way to order. So we have 3 packages. We have Mack Protect, which is basically our forward mitigation, as well as an airbag that's standard on every truck. We have Mack Protect Pro, which is basically the front plus the sides. And then we have Mack Protect Premier, which takes that front side and it adds lane keep assist, which ultimately will help the driver in steering. Powertrain. So, I said efficiency is extremely important to drivers and to customers. And, when we set out designing this truck, we wanted to deliver a strong performing powertrain as well as an efficient. And what we're really proud to say is that we will deliver up to 11% fuel efficiency. Obviously, that's going to vary depending on how the customer specs the truck. But how we got to that is really twofold. One, we took a really established powertrain with the Mack powertrain that we're really proud of, and we got 3% more out of that. Then we went to the aero, and that's where we got most of it. I talked about the wedge design, a lot of the aerodynamics there, and you can get up to 8% out of that. So again, depends on the cab configuration, some of the aerodynamic devices, but spec for spec, you can get up to 11% out of the powertrain and fuel efficiency. And then last, we talk about uptime. And what we're really proud to say here is this is the most connected Mack truck ever, right? The more connected to the truck you can be, the better you can help with uptime. And how we do that is through our integrated uptime offer. We already have a pretty robust offer with things like Guard Dog Connect, Mack Connect. We also expanded on that. Now we offer what we call My Mack app. And this is really cool, especially in a show like this, because this is something that's common in some of the cars that you have today. And this really allows you to be connected to your truck. You can start the parking cooler on it. You can see fluid. You can do pre-trip. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do with the app that we're really proud to offer. And with that, Q&A.